Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I think we'll give it a couple of minutes for more people to join, and then we'll get started around 1:05. Okay, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ishan, and I and a couple of other volunteers will be presenting a workshop for the elementary competition for WRO this year. And this is our first workshop, and we're going to and here we have our agenda. So we're gonna show you how to build a basic robot, how to configure your robot with wires and using the programming interface. And then we're also going to show you how to make some basic programs such as the forward and backward movements for your robot, and as well as 90-degree and 180-degree turns. And then also what we'll show you how to do is use the robot's tool, which will help you complete missions for your elementary WRO competition. And then lastly, we'll be going over some game strategies such as missions you can go for and which ones are easiest given your circumstances. And we'll wrap it up with some questions. So we're going to start off with building your robot. So on the left, you can see we have a couple of pictures of a robot with instructions provided by Lego Education. And this is like the most basic robot you can build. And it's really simple to build. So we recommend that if you're a beginner in WRO, this is where you start. So the instructions are provided in this link, and you can just easily find them online just by searching Lego EV3 robot instructions. And it takes about an hour maximum to build this robot, depending on how quickly you can build. And the instructions are really simple to follow. So the parts you need for this robot is the basic kit. So the EV3 Lego Mindstorms kit or the Lego Education core set. And although we recommend this robot to begin with, we do encourage you to build onto this robot, improve it, or even try to make your own. This robot is really limited in what it can do, but it's able to have multiple tools. You can try multiple tools on it. So if you're looking into doing multiple things at the same time, we do recommend that you modify this robot with your own designs or create your own. So with the EV3 expansion kit, this comes with a bunch of other parts and sensors. And so using the expansion kit, you can use additional color sensors, which will actually help you with this year's WRO competition with the randomization element, because that part of the challenge requires you to actually sense the colors of the pieces on the game mat. So having that additional color sensor is really going to be helpful for sensing those pieces. And then we also would recommend getting that expansion kit so that your robot can do some line following using those color sensors. So line following is a really reliable way to keep your robot where you want it to go. It uses the color sensor to follow the black lines around the mat, which can help you if you have problems with your robot straying from where you intend for it to go. This basic robot that I'm pointing with the pointer, it requires 3 motors. So that's the maximum you can mount on your robot is 4. So 2 of these motors are going to be for driving the robot. So one on the left, one on the right. And then a smaller motor is going to be used for this tool on the front, which uses a little bit of gearing to make this tool go up and down. We also emphasize making sure your robot is wired correctly. So in the WRO competition, your robot has to fit into the square, when the starting square. So making sure your robot is wired neatly will help you so that it doesn't extend out of that square. And also you should just probably make a note of which ports the wires are connected to. That way you can reference them later pretty easily. And if you have some trouble with which ports to plug your motors and sensors in, the motors always plug in to the lettered ports, so A, B, C, and D, and the sensors always plug into the number ports, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when building a robot, we have a couple of tips. First, as you can see, these are the 2 types of motors that come with your core kit. And first, you have this medium motor. This is a bit of a small motor that most teams usually use for their tools. And as you can see on this robot, this motor is, it's kind of hard to see, but it's in this front part of this robot and it's connected to this tool. And when when this motor turns, it makes this whole tool go up and down. Secondly, we have the large motors, which most teams use for driving, two-wheel driving. We have one on the left, one on the right, and they're each connected to a wheel. And you might be wondering, well, how does a robot keep balanced with its design? This robot comes with in the instructions. It requires you to mount a silver ball on the back. So it's 3 points of contact with the mat. So some tips when building a robot, you should try to start with this base robot and then build a medium motor tool. But also don't be afraid of modifying your robot. This is your robot. You should modify it as much as you want so that it can help you best complete this year's challenge. And that also goes for your tool. Like if this tool is not adequate for moving around your pieces, or you want to make it more reliable, just feel free to modify it. And try to experiment with different things, maybe different wheel sizes. That'll just help you find out what's best for you. So I'm going to pass it on to Nishka. Nishka is going to talk a little bit about programming.
So when you're programming, you have to first configure your robot, and that's when you write your program to say which ports your sensors and motors are connected to. So as we said earlier, motors connect to lettered ports and sensors connect to numbered ports. So when you can use this for later, and you can call back on these motors to run your program. So the first thing you want to do for your program is set your movement motors to whichever motors you're using. This is the one that you absolutely need to do in every single time you run your robot, because otherwise your robot will not move using the correct motors. Now, these next few motors and sensors we have, you don't need to, there's no way to set the movement motors, set them in the beginning of the program. You have to set them every single time you use them. So as you can see, for this second block, we're using another motor in port A. And it's going to run clockwise for one rotation. So if you have to do that later in the program, again, you're going to have to say A, run clockwise for one rotation. To program your robot with basic movement, this is moving forward and backward. You can change the speed. So in this program, you'll be moving for one rotation at 20% speed, and then you'll move backward at 40% speed. You'll use these lines a lot because you need to move a lot around the map to get to the places you need to go. When you set your speed for the robot too high, what happens is it's going to cause your robot to lose traction, and it could drift forward a little bit, and then it kind of gets messed up because you won't know where your robot is. And this video demonstrates the program forward and then backward in a faster speed. I'll pass it on to Ishan.
So these are just some tips we put together to help your robot move straight. For those of you who are new to WRO, a common problem with robots, EV3 robots, is that they don't always move straight, and this can really affect your program and the challenges you complete. So to help you make your robot move straight, you can do things like testing your motors to see if they deliver equal power. And simply put, you can run your robot, try to make it go, try to just set it on the ground and set both motors to equal power and rotations. And then if it tends to drift one way or the other, you can you can modify the speed settings on each individual motor to correct for the drift. You can also make sure to charge your robot before each session. This will mean that this will give you like a baseline for every time you are programming your robot, you know that the battery isn't what's affecting its performance. And also check that your wheels are properly secured to the rims. Sometimes the wheels are a bit loose and not at a straight angle and not properly inside the rims. And then check for debris and dust both on your robot and the mat. Also, if your robot isn't balanced, this will also create some drift. So you can try to make it symmetrical to help it go straighter. And don't always use max power. Just like Nishka said, this will help prevent the loss of traction on your robot, and we'll make sure that both the left and right motors have equal grip.
When you use your robot to turn, there are multiple ways to do it. One way you can run a single motor. This way it requires trial and error because you have to figure out the distance that your wheel is moving. It's better to turn slowly because, as we said, if you go too fast, then you'll lose traction. It also depends on the wheel size that you're using. The bigger the wheel, the less rotation that you should need. And the bigger your wheel, it also makes the speed faster. Once when you're done with your turn, you should record the values because you'll need to use them a lot, especially when you're turning and moving around the mat. Another way to turn is to run both motors in opposite directions. You can do this, you can do both of these turns any number of degrees that you want to turn. For this program, what it does is it turns one motor 90 degrees, and then it turns both motors 180 degrees. And as you can see, it turned right, then it turned backwards.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind is that the degrees that you want to turn is not exactly the degrees that you're running your motors for. So up here you can see that this is for the 90-degree robot turn. The amount of degrees that the robot that the one of the motors is running is not 90 degrees. So this is where you'll have to like do trial and error to find out what amount of degrees that you're setting one motor to run is equal to the whole robot turning. And same goes with um, when you're using both motors.
When you're programming your robot, you'll have to use a media motor tool. You'll need to grab the pieces on the mat and move them around. So that's what your tool is used for. This program is going to secure an item. It will go forward, bring the media motor down, and then go backward, pulling it back. So you can modify your medium motor if you have problems with the medium motor. It may not fit. The medium motor tool may not fit the pieces, or they may be too big. Then you can change it, and you'll be able to personalize it to the pieces. So my blocks are an especially helpful thing when you program your robot. If you're using some code a lot in your program, like certain lines of code, you can make a my block, and they're kind of a function that you can put parameters in, and then you'd be able to use it in all places of your program. So this program right now, it will the robot will move straight for 5 inches at 25% speed. What this my block does is it takes the inches that you want your robot to move and it divides it by the circumference of your tire, and then it will move that speed. This way it converts the inches to rotations, and it's really helpful because you can move more accurately using inches, or if you'd like to change it, you can do centimeters, and it makes it easier for your program. When you program your robot, something helpful to do is programming part by part. This way, you can make sure that the part you're programming is right before moving to the next part, since if the first part is wrong, then it causes a chain reaction and affects everything else in the rest of your program. If you change the first part in the program, it affects the rest of the program. So you just gotta make sure about that. You also want to record important values. 90-degree turns are something you'll probably use a lot. So you'll want to record the degrees that you use for your motors. You can also learn how to make my blocks, and then you'll be able to use the my blocks multiple times and instead of rewriting it every single time. Also, when you're programming, you might find that there's problems with your robot. For example, the medium motor doesn't, it's not fitted with the pieces on the game mat. Then you can change your robot. Don't be afraid to do that. You can improve it as much as you can because you'll get more accurate as you improve it and customize it to the game this year.
So this is going to be about the game strategy for
I'll
this.
pass it on to Evan.
No, yeah. So these slides will be about the game strategy for the actual season. And when it comes to WRO, there are a few main things that you need to take into account, and the three main things that the whole season or the whole like the mat is based on, and it's how many points you can score, which is your scoring, and then the time you take to score those points, because there's also a time limit, and you have to be able to either do you can go around the map and you can focus on the high value tasks, so you just do a few tasks and you'll be able to get a lot of points, or you can do lots of tasks in the same area, so you're not spending that much time moving around and you're actually spending the time completing those tasks, and you're getting fewer points on each individual one, but you'll be getting completing much more tasks. So based on that similar concept, this year's mat requires you're moving around the mat a lot. And like I said in the previous slide, that's definitely an option, because a lot of them will be higher value tasks, which you can get quite a bit of points for. So one of the best things to start off with, because when you start off from your start position, you're going to be having a solar cell, and that's going to be a mission which is basically saying that there's solar panels on two sides of the roof of this house, and based on the sun's position, you should decide which way that has to go, which side of the house you have to do. And let's say for this example that it's on the right, so you'd be able to say that it's on the right, and because the sun will be on the randomization is that it'll either be on the right or the left of the robot. And you for this, you recommend that you use a color sensor that you look to the side. You can see if it's side facing, so you can see if the sun is there, and depending on that, you can go to that side. And for the full points of this, you get 10 points if the solar cell is fully inside of that solar panel area, as you can see in the picture, and those studs on the top of it should be facing up, and it should be completely upright. And another one of the main missions in the challenge this year is to put smart home devices into different rooms. And so this is basically where there's a supply room on the map which holds these smart devices. And so this is where I was saying about moving around the map. So this is on one of the far sides from the start area. So you move from there to the supply room, and you would get that, and you would be placing them in specific rooms. And you'll get different points based on the light bulbs in the room, which is another large challenge in this year for this year. And you get 3 points for a red bulb, and that's a dead lamp or a dead light, and you get 7 points for a room with a white light. And starting off with a basic kit, you'd most likely not be able to identify the color of the light itself. So unless there's a strategy that you can come up with, which you can identify the color of the light, then you wouldn't really be able. Your best bet is to randomly place the smart devices in your rooms. So then these are two more missions which are a bit simpler and kind of to happen kind of on the side. So this first mission just 7 points, and this is basically when you're putting your robot back into the starting area. So you start in one area, and then once you finish your missions, and you come back to that, you'll be getting 7 points for you're having your robot completely inside that. And if your wires are outside of the box, that is fine. And bonus points include not disturbing or damaging the barriers. So these are barriers that are scattered on specific points in a map. And also, if you don't mess with the yellow bulbs, as yellow bulbs are okay bulbs that are still active, and you shouldn't disturb them throughout the map or throughout the challenge. And then if you do all of these, you'll be getting roughly 33 to 41 points, depending on where you put the smart devices. Like if you put smart devices on the areas with the red bulbs, you'd be getting roughly 33 points. And then if you put them on areas with white bulbs, you'd be getting closer to 41 points. And that's all for the game strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. So that was our elementary WRO presentation. Does anyone have any questions? We'll be happy to answer them. And I can also go back to any slide if anyone wants me to.
So hi, this is Ravi. I post a question on the chat. Yeah, thanks for providing this information about this elementary. But are you guys planning to do any workshop for the WRO? Because that is the most basic one, I think, right? The kids may start.
Yeah, we are planning a WeDo workshop, just like the elementary one. We'll probably send some emails out for that one. We are working on that one though.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, great. And I have a question here before having workshop. So let's say I'm the coach for two teams actually. So can they have the same design in the game, or should they have a different design actually? Then because I don't know, I'm not sure there's any points for the design in the WRO category.
This is Dinesh. I'll take that question. Yeah, you can have the same design. It doesn't matter. This is we do categories. Basically encouraging the younger kids to start learning robotics. So, and the thing is, I believe that it's not autonomous for WRO as well. You're controlling it using your iPad, right?
Right. So, I think they need to. I mean, even this is the first time actually. Even I'm doing the WRO actually. So it looks like for every program actually they have to run it manually or something, like one step at a time, like that. Something.
Yes. Like yeah. You start to bring. You start the robot from the base, complete one mission, then you can start another mission, and so on. Yep.
Yes.
So it's a little easier, it's a great way to get kids introduced into robotics.
Yeah, because they have the limitations with the robo actually, because it has only 2 ports. I think they can use only one motor. I think they have one sensor, so they can't even make it turns also. I don't think they can even make it turns or something.
Yeah, I think most of it is, I think you line it up and then you just have to have a tool that then you can use to pull back certain elements back into the base, right?
Right.
So
that's what even I'm thinking. So both teams can have same design and the same program as well, right? Actually, I
think so. I mean, also encourage them to maybe just individualize their robots a little bit with some other decorations and other things.
Right.
Yeah. So give them some way to
Yeah, I will try to make them something different, a little bit unique to each team,
Yeah.
so that they look a little bit different. But programming wise, maybe maybe like back and forth or something only most.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
And Dinesh, actually, I was looking for the kit. Actually, do you happen to have anybody having the kit or something? I can.
Right. I will check with someone else as well and see if they have it. I saw your note in the
The
WhatsApp.
chat, right? Yeah.
I will check.
Yeah, because I was looking at the Amazon. Actually, it is around $400 for that kit, and I was thinking actually, even I buy this year, I may not use next year because by the next year, actually, probably they'll go to EV3 or the spike or something maybe. So this will become like useless after a year after this compression, basically.
Got it.
So yeah, I was thinking actually I can pay something, or I can buy some used one.
So the thing is, there is another site called Brick Owl, I think. I'll check. I'll send you the links. Okay, if there's where you get like, but I don't know whether you get used ones there, but I'll check. Okay.
Great. Yeah, that will be really helpful. Yeah,
okay.
Thanks, Dinesh.
Okay.
So are those all the questions? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. We hope you learned something new for WRO, the elementary group, or even just WRO as a whole. And I guess we'll see you in the next workshop.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for arranging and scheduling this workshop. Really, it's a good start actually. But definitely for elementary kids, we are already starting it. And I really appreciate your initiation and efforts on this part.
Thank you.